What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025. Guys, I want to hop right into this because I'm super excited. We've got a big win today. Absolutely massive win that I want to share with you guys and kind of go over some details that have, unfolded or transpired, since this afternoon. So let's hop right into it. So, boom, today. We got approval letter from the Wyoming Secretary of State. My UCC1 financing statement was approved in the state of Wyoming. I'm super excited about this and to just keep moving forward with this process of going through and reclaiming my securities, claiming my estate, whatever you want to call it, just going through this process. So I'm really excited to get this back today. As you can see, boom, we've got this approval stamp. We've got all this stuff, file number, everything that it talks about in cracking the code. We've got all that now. So now it's moving to the next step. But what I wanted to talk about was, once I got this letter, I was really excited. I reached out to my buddy Ken, told him the good news, and he was like, "Oh, dude, I'm headed down there. I'm headed down to the Secretary of State's office in my state to file this in person. Like, I want to get this done." So he goes down there, calls me a little bit later, and we get to talking. And he says he goes into the UCC office. He's talking with the clerk, and they're giving him grief because he's got a bunch of private information in his description of collateral section 4 right here. He's got his social security number, birth certificate number, all of this private and valuable information. And so, I think they told him to come back or something like that. But I told him when he was saying all that stuff, I was like, "Oh, that's interesting," because my collateral description is very short. I mean, right here you can see it. Very simple, very straight to the point. No case law, no statutory codes or anything like that. Just very straightforward and to the point. And he was telling me, well, in cracking the code and in on SPC University with our man Yusuf L in his SPC process. He's talking about putting all of all this information on your UCC1 filing. And so I'm like, oh man, I didn't see that. I mean, I literally went through this entire section. Right here we've got our number 14 box 4. So right here, this is for the collateral, and it's saying, here's all this. Here's an example here. Here's an example here. All over. Then they've got actual examples down here. Okay, going over all this stuff. So right here, financing statement. Again, I don't know how old this is actually. Oh, 1998. So might have been different, but I mean, same thing. All of debtors' assets, land, personal property, so on and so forth. You can see reference to their security agreement. Okay, they've got UCC code right here, subsection 1, 103, 1104, house joint resolution, all this different type of stuff. Okay, there's an example there. Okay, here's an example here. This is similar to mine, 2002, it says. Okay, here's another one. Again, so I didn't see any of what he was referring to as far as in cracking the code of, putting down your social security number, putting down your birth certificate number, your birth date, or any of that confidential, and valuable information. And so I went through and skimmed over cracking the code. I also went, and watched the entire UCC1 video in the members section of SPC University. And yes, it does. Yusuf does again lay out a big old collateral description using an amendment or an even bigger section to put all that information in before you file it. He does mention in the very first part of the video, however, that you want to redact all that confidential information. And so, at the end of the day, when I got off the phone with my buddy and I watched Yusuf's video, um, what really came to my mind is, all roads lead to Rome. Okay. And I think more what I'm finding, at least on my journey, is that what's more important than um, what you put on the document is who you are. It's understanding this information, like Yusuf says, spending, at least 24 to 36 months studying this information consistently, so you really understand the terminology, okay, that you understand the processes, that you understand what these documents mean. Because my own experience is, people are just copying and pasting and sending stuff in, and then they're getting rejected, or they're getting in trouble, or they're getting this, that, and the other, because at the heart of it, they don't really understand what these documents mean. They're not starting, as Yusuf says, and I love this quote from him, is they're not starting with the end in mind. What are you trying to accomplish here? Okay. And once you really have started with the end in mind and you've literally written it down, I mean, I'm writing down notes constantly. I'm literally drawing out my plans, just like a chess player, or, a general would. I'm literally writing out my plan. And so, um, again, more than, just copying and pasting what someone on the internet is doing, it's really understanding what this is. And so when I got off the phone with my buddy, I'm thinking to myself, I'm going back to square one. I'm going back to those fundamentals, starting with the end in mind, so on and so forth. And I asked myself, what is the UCC1? Because in this realm, you've got a lot of people that are coveting the UCC1 and thinking that it's some sort of, silver bullet, remedy to just solve anything. And really, at the core of it, what the UCC1, financing statement is it's public notice of a security agreement between a secured party and a debtor. Okay. And starting with the end in mind, at least what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to privately, okay, endorse, securitize, monetize, and protect my estate. And my estate starts with my name, which was the first document that it was ever put on, was my certificate of live birth. So that was the creation of every account for my entire life. So I want to go back to that original document. I want to make sure I get it endorsed. I want to make sure that I've got, it's secured. Then I want to securitize it and monetize it. And that's what this is. But where the real value comes from is this security agreement. Just like when you go to the bank is printing money out of thin air because they're creating security agreements and promissory notes with their customers. And so thinking about all that, hey, the UCC1 is really just evidence of an agreement between two parties. Okay. Thinking about this, what I did personally was I endorsed and I, recorded my mother granting, because she's the grantor or the informant on my birth certificate or my certificate of live birth. So I had her endorse the back of that. Then I had her create an affidavit of authority stating that she's the sole authority and the sole informant and the sole grantor of that instrument. Okay. Then she signs a power of attorney granting authority over to a private trust in this all caps name. Okay, so now that is a private express contract trust, Gary Brian Gilgan Trust. It has no EIN. Its only purpose is to hold the assets under the name Gary Brian Gilgan. So we've got the certificate of live birth, We've got the certification of vital record. Okay, we've got the common law trademark trade name. We've got the common law copyright. Okay, and now we've got this. Actually, we don't have this yet. So once I have those done, then what I do is I sign power of authority back over to a public trust that is not my name. It is GBG Trust. This is a public trust with an EIN. Okay, so this is my proxy that manages all of the affairs for this name that is held in trust. So this is where I was doing an experiment, and so far the experiment has gone off without a hitch. Because even in Yusuf's video, he states that why most people are getting rejected with their UCC1 is because they're commingling the name. You know, you've got your Gary Brian Gilgan Trust, you got your 98 number, you've got all these different types of things. Okay, that's what you're trying to do business as in the public. Okay, and you're trying to, do business or represent it or whatever it is. Okay, but the problem I'm seeing is, just like Yusuf says, is this is an opinion. These clerks can just reject it based on just that alone. It's an opinion. There's no statute or code or any real guidelines or regulations that the clerks have to go by in order to, accept or deny an application. So I think what they're seeing is a commingling of the name. So again, what I did is I placed all of the instruments bearing that name in a private trust bearing that same name, Gary Brian Gilgan Trust, and then I signed power of attorney and a security agreement with GBG Trust, which is a public trust. So now it files the UCC1. Now it has securitized that name. It's now validated it. Because again, the purpose of this form is to, again, it's public notice of the security agreement. So now, hey, I think I was approved because the names were not the same. The names were not the same. In fact, if I were to do it again, I wouldn't even use my initials. I would use a different name entirely, but a name that obviously meant something to me. So now this GBG Trust, it has a power of attorney, and it has a security agreement with a private trust, Gary Brian Gilgan Trust. And now there's a further veil, okay, between the public and the private. Remember, we do not want them to mix. So this public entity, it is representing its client, the private name and estate in the public. And so then I'm not even the trustee of GBG Trust. Okay. So again, I'm starting with the end in mind, baby. I'm playing chess. I'm not playing checkers here. And so far, my vision, my download that I got, a couple months now, about the beginning of the year, it's playing off fantastically. So my question that I wanted to pose to you, again, after speaking to my friend who's going through this same process, and based on what I did hear it from Yusuf, I watched it. He's got a freaking laundry list of all the same information that is in my security agreement. So it seems to me like Yusuf is wanting to list out the entire security agreement and redact all of the private, confidential, valuable information and put that into the public. Whereas my philosophy is I'm keeping the public and the private separate. I'm not mixing them. I'm just putting the public on notice that there is a security agreement. If you want to come check out the security agreement, get in contact with me at this address, and then we'll talk. But until then, I'm not showing all my cards to everyone. Okay, so far, I think that what matters most is that these names are not commingling. They're not similar. That you want to create a public entity that is managing the assets for the private trust, which bears and holds those instruments. So as you can see, again, I'm super excited. All this stuff for you to check out, all this. So boom, we've got the proof is in the pudding. Just got this in the mail today. Good old Chuck Gray, my man. Shout out to you, Chuck Gray. Boom. Secretary of State, Wyoming. Boom, right here too. So now what I'm going to do, just keep moving forward, putting people on notice that there is a security, again, that there is superior, what am I doing here? That there is superior, lien, superior claim on that name. And also, look at this. I got that trademark too. So what's your organization's name? So what is an organization versus an individual? Okay. Again, words. We're dealing with words. We're dealing with magic here. And if you don't understand words and you don't understand the difference between an organization, the subtle. So right here's where I can put that. Boom. That's the organization's name. So anytime you see that name or any derivation of, boom, right here, baby, right here. So I definitely, I'm always looking for input. So, but the proof is in the pudding for me at least. So I can now file an amendment and I can do what UCF says, and I can put the damn near the entire security agreement, on an amendment. But I don't even know why I would do that, because again, my theory is there's a public and a private, they do not mix. That's not really my theory, but my theory is, I'm keeping those separate, and I want to put as little, description of the collateral in this section, because this is public, but not everyone's looking at this. So if someone's looking at this, I want it to be vague. I want to make their life hard. So they have to come and find me. They got to come and mail and send me this stuff and ask for the security agreement. Then I get to deny them. And then I'm the government here. That's what all this stuff. This is evidence of $1 trillion estate, baby. So again, if you could, I would really appreciate you, commenting. If you've got any tips or anything for me, I would really appreciate it. But again, stay tuned. I've been making just play-by-play videos, going through this process, reading, cracking the code, and just taking it down. So definitely follow along if you're interested in this, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.